Hi and welcome everyone, this is Zimon August, and today I'm gonna do a numerology reading of Jennie. Jennie is the example for today, and I've removed her middle name and her last name to make her more anonymous, but I have all the energies and the numbers here. This is Chaldean Numerology that works with changing your name and changing your faith. And you can't really change your fate because you're born with the fate here. You're born on a certain date, the 14th here, and her birth month is November, so it's 11/2 over here, and she's born in 1968, which reduces to 24/6. And you can see it's 1 plus 4, that's 5, so that's why it's reduced to a number 5 here. 2 plus 4 equal to 6, so that's why we do it that way. So what we have up here is that the number 5 and the number 2 combines to make a number 7. So everything that's here on the left side of the numeroscope, this is the higher self. We can't change that. This is made by the names, and we can change this down here. What sort of happens on a physical level. So number 7 is very international. So Jennie could be someone who loves to travel, who loves to see the world, and could be strangely popular, especially because she has number 5 here. The number 5 and the number 2 and number 7 are quite popular and quite social numbers. They like to be around other people. The number 7 can be sort of withdrawn at times though. Number 5, the day she's born, is her basic value. And number 5 is equal to the planet, or associated with the planet Mercury, which is all about communication, trade. And that means if she's balanced, she's very good at communication. But if it's imbalanced, she has some issues with her communication. She could be misunderstood, especially if it's combined with different numbers elsewhere in the numerology landscape here. And then we have the numerology, when you have 11/2 here up in the month, she could be, I'm just going to point here, she could be experiencing that she has some issues with boundaries, that people like, she gives her the little finger and they take the whole arm. So she wants to be loving and giving and empathic, and people tend to cross the boundaries, especially in her private life. She could have that experience because she has it over here as well. Then she has up here her small destiny number and her large destiny number. The small destiny number is more on an everyday basis, and it's something that mostly is felt when you are 30 or below. And when she went and became more than 30, she started to experience her large destiny number. She's a number 4 in her destiny. And when she's number 4, she probably in her essence feels like life is either very, very good, everything's fine, and then all of a sudden something happens out of the blue and it crashes. So she's experienced probably a lot of crisis in her life. The small destiny number is actually called the death in the tarot card. And that's not something that is horrible or frightening, because death is actually a transformation, and people have a tendency to be afraid of transformation, of letting go of the old and embracing the new. So she could have that effect on people, that she's sort of a rebel, an outsider in her essence. It's not always that it is visible and shown when it's in the essence, but you could feel like she's different from other people. And she has ideas that are ahead of time, that she sees the world in a different way than other people. And she also could have the tendency to sort of like, when people say something, that she says the opposite just to be a rebel against it and to create resistance. So it could be difficult with this combination, with being very social and communicating, and then at the same time wanting to be alone and wanting to live in your own world and having these amazing, fantastic ideas that people haven't caught up with yet. So that's the thing about the large destiny number, the 31/4, that we have in here, that could create the sense of other people being a bit irritating to you. So it could be that you actually want to be alone because people don't get you. They feel quite annoying actually. But a lot of big yoga gurus have these numbers. So if you're interested in yoga, that could be the reason. I've also seen a lot of people working with arts and sound and sort of different forms of healing. Could be, for example, with crystals. It could be with animals. Sometimes you could feel like you have a more of a connection with animals and crystals than you do with humans. But the number 5 here is like the 5 senses. So we have the arms, we have the legs, and we have the head sticking out of the body, and it sort of connects people. That's why it's a good number for being socialized and being in a network and combining people. But if it's imbalanced, you actually could have the opposite. You will have a sort of social anxiety. I don't think you have social anxiety with these numbers, but you could have the tendency actually to withdraw yourself at times. But most people with this number, they talk a lot. They think while they're talking. So people could get annoyed by that because like, why didn't you just think before you talked? But you kind of show your inner world, and you could have a tendency to also have difficulties with sitting still, especially with these numbers down here. There's a lot of energy inside of you, and that could make it difficult to sit still. You could also be a bit stressed out because of these numbers, because there's a lot of mental energy and there's a lot of thoughts going on all the time. So it could get crowded in your head with all these thoughts going on. Then we have up here the yearly number, and this is on the inside, so that's where more or less your family is related, your friends, the people who know you, and you could be quite popular with this number. And the 24/6 is a number of family, and like really being a family person, wanting everyone to feel safe and have it nice. And it could also be a number for being interested in aesthetics, design, wanting things to be pretty and nice, and also either you get a lot of support from other people that kind of like you out of nowhere, or it could be that you don't feel that support. So it's every time, it could be balanced, it could be imbalanced. Because of the whole look at your numerology, it's mostly imbalanced. Then we have the Dharma number up here. This is how you get to create and be your essence. So this number up here is a 26/8, and the 8 is a number that's quite difficult to handle, because you have the lower part of the 8. I just have to draw it here. No, it doesn't want to write there. You have the lower part of the number 8, which is the physical part, and you have the sort of spiritual parts of you up here in the upper number 8, and then you have the balance point in the middle. And most people get caught in either the physical, too much, the logical, and then the other people get too much out of the body, out of the head, and into the spiritual world, and sort of want to escape the world. And then you need to find the balance. That's how you get your unique and creative ideas out the best. And you have a very potent higher self with you have these all unique ideas, and you have the ability to get it out internationally, and you have the ability to communicate and be popular. This is quite strong numbers actually. So if you feel like you have something that really wants to come out, I understand why, and it could have been difficult with your current names to get it out. Then we have your names, like what it creates in combination with your number 5 of here. you have Jennie as your first name, then you have 1455 here as your middle name, and again 2022-4 up here as your last name. So what it means is that your first name and your last name has the same value. So you're sort of like the same on the inside and the outside. People, what you see is what you get, more or less. You're quite easily to caricate. If you had someone doing who wants to give example of how you are, you're quite easy to see, because it's the same numbers here and same numbers on here, completely the same. So the 22-4, that's about being a bit naive, believing in everyone that they want the best for you. But the problem is that you can get taken advantage of when you have those numbers, because you're so good at yourself that you would react with anger when you find out that people were deceiving you. And you can have a lot of anger, and you can be afraid of your anger, and you can run around like a bomb that's ticking all the time when you have these kind of numbers that you have up here. So you have that 18-9, which is a warrior, and it's a lot of energy, and it's a lot of wanting to finish things and wanting to do things all the time. So you have probably difficulties by sitting still. And it could be your surroundings were quite irritated. Your family could be quite irritated that you're constantly working and finishing things, and you can't sit still, and you want to clean, and you could be having a lot of issues with your neck and your upper body, your shoulders, because you're suppressing a lot of energy, because you have so much energy here and you're so afraid of it that you suppress it, and it creates a stagnation in your throat area and your shoulders. So if you have those issues, that could be the reason. Then you also, the number 14-5 here, it wants to small talk. But the number 9 wants to, the first reaction people get is that you are perhaps very controlled, and also you want to get to the core quite quickly. And you do just sort of have like a protection, so you seem harder on the outside than you really are, because you're more softer actually when you look inside you. But it creates some issues for you. It's also called a master builder, the 22-4, and a lot of millionaires and billionaires have those kind of numbers, especially in the year they're born, because it takes some naivety to actually go out and create your own business and believe in it and wanting it to succeed. You have to have some sort of just trusting and doing what you have to do. But if you have too much of it, you could be taken advantage of, and people could deceive you. So that's something to be aware of. Then you have the 14-5 here again. So you have two 14-5 here. That could mean that you have the ability to actually earn money, because a lot of money is earned by being able to talk with all different kinds of people and being able to be friends with all kind of people. But it could also mean that the money comes and the money goes again quite easily and fast, especially when it's imbalanced. When we look on the inside of you, there is a sort of fear, because we have the 16-7 here, and it's sort of like, it seems like you have it, it feels very tough to be you, and it could create some sort of depression. So everything up here is the upper body, up here, that's the upper body, what's shown to other people, and this is the lower part of the body, the health of the lower part of the body, and also how your friends and family see you. So this is the family over here, and the friends see that's over here and here. That's sort of the inside. So it could create some anxiety, could create some fear, and also a tendency to again work a lot, because you never feel enough, especially because you have all these number 9s. So instead of being fearful, it could be working harder to feel safe. you have perhaps a tendency to be misunderstood by your family, and it could create a lot of drama. Because you have the top 12 to 3 here, it is a number for misunderstanding. So something could happen, and you could see it from a different perspective than what actually happened. So you misunderstood what's going on, and you created your own drama inside your head. And because this number down here, you could suppress that feeling of being a victim by eating sugar, or being addicted to cigarettes or alcohol, or sort of to suppress those emotions, because there's a lot of thoughts going on here, a lot of fearful thoughts, a lot of anxiety. And what you are here to create is something completely new. There is a wanting to do what's best for humanity, doing what's best for the world, and living organic, and wanting to be spiritual. But it's difficult with all these different numbers here, because you can't really live it. So you have all these things inside of you that can't come out. And there is a thing about number 4 is that they have the ability to be both practical and intuitive, where the number 5 is more spontaneous and a bit lazy, because they things come to them very easily. So you have to be careful of not being going from being overworking and being very, very effective, and then going in the opposite direction, just thinking that everything's just gonna come to you easily and fast without you doing anything. So it's a bit difficult. You probably have a lot of ideas with the number 4 and the number 5 here. They have a lot of things going on all the time. And yeah, it could be a very difficult combination for you. When you have the number 13-4, you could also experience that in your childhood you had sort of fantasy friends and a lot of daydreaming, and it could be difficult to, when you met with other people, they could have a reaction to you because you acted as a mirror for them. The number 4s here, they often act as a mirrors for other people, what's going on inside them. So a lot of people are not interested in actually seeing what's going on inside them, mentally and psychological. So it's easier to point the finger at you instead of looking inside them. So you could have the ability to really bring up a lot of the baggage and all the dark stuff in other people, and has nothing to do with you. It's more about you acting as a mirror for them. So that means that inside of you, actually, you feel kind of drained by being around a lot of people, because you have that tendency and to create that reaction. So you actually want to have fewer and more stable friends that get you, or some people that are very interesting. The number 4 has tendency to want to have the more extravagant people around them, the more interesting people, because they're just more interesting and they inspire you. And with the number 4 here, there are also mainly people that create things behind the scene, but I would imagine you actually being on the scene because of those numbers you have on the outside, that you actually have to be visible. And there could be a tendency to be afraid of being visible with these numbers. So if you feel like you have a lot on your heart, a lot of things that you want to show the world and do in the world, but it can't really get out, I understand why with these kind of numbers. There is a tendency to actually go inside your shelf and being misunderstood and not getting things out. It could be that a lot of people come to you for advice and you give very excellent advice, but it's draining for you. Because of the number down here, you have a lot of insights, you have a lot of probably studied quite a lot and know a lot of things and have a big understanding for a lot of things, but you sort of give on the cost of yourself. You don't give from a surplus that you have plenty to give from. You give from wanting to be acknowledged and wanting to get love from people, and it's draining for you. So that's some of the things that's happening. And then I felt this was so funny because I looked into what's gonna happen for the next 9 years, and I looked into what's happening in this period of time. And you are in a very lucky period of time, because you have, in this state here, since the 8th of October until the 5th of November, you have a very lucky period. You can see it from here, and you can see it from here. So that makes sense why I chose you as a winner. I didn't see this before I chose you as a winner, but this is a very lucky number that's talking about you being lucky, something happening from totally out of nowhere, and that's exactly what happened. Then I can see there's a stressful period down here from the 3rd of December until the end of the year. There's a lot of stress here, and that's because the number 2 and number 9, the number 2 wants to relax and the number 9 wants to finish things off and just get it over. And December is stressful for most people, but especially for you this year. There's nothing big or something very frightening happening the next 9 years. It's quite stable actually, because you're quite lucky that you're born in a year that creates a number 6. That means you have 3 years focusing on success, and you have 6 years when you're focusing on your family and home and friends. And right now you're actually just started to look into going from being at home, and the next 3 years you have time to expand your success. So this is a perfect time actually if you want to change your name and don't overwork yourself. Don't feel a lot of guilt and shame and fear and being misunderstood. This is the time I would change my name and get everything that you've built up and learned through the years you're born, get it out, because you never get a better period to do it than currently. You are here to be a spiritual leader. You're here to be someone who's really knowledgeable and get it out. And you don't get it out just on a local stage. It's too small for you. You need to get it out on a global level. Because you have a number 7, you're sort of a world citizen. You're not just a Swede. You are actually a world citizen. You don't look at colors. You don't look at where people are from, the sexuality, whatever. You see them as people, and you're very intuitive. So use that intuition. And the problem with number 7 is that they are either very skeptical about intuition and alternative, or they could be overly intuitive. And that's where you need to find a balance. For you, it's all about loving communities, being in balance, and then you can get your creative ideas out. So this is just very short about what I've seen in your numerology. There's a lot of more things to see actually and talk about, because I can see down here it's like very hard for you being you. It's like very hardworking. Again, the misunderstandings and the fear. So many people can't see it from the outside, what's actually going on inside you, but a lot of things is actually happening inside of you that's very hard and tough on you. And it doesn't need to be. You don't need to struggle. You don't need to work hard to sort of overcome the fear and overcome the misunderstandings. You have actually the ability to have an easier life, a more effortless life. So it's quite interesting to look at your numerology here. So thanks for allowing me to look into it. Have it posted here on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you want to learn more about numerology and actually get a reading or change your name, you can look at the link below the video here. where there's a link for my site and how you can learn more about Chaldean numerology. All my love, my name is Zimon August.